Hey guys, and in today's video we're going to talk about the top fun things to do in Birmingham. Birmingham is the second city in the UK and is also probably one of the most underestimated in terms of things that you can do. Being from the region and having worked in Birmingham myself, I hope that I can give you the insider scoop on actually what's really good to do in Birmingham. And stay tuned to the end of this video and we'll share a post where we'll include some links to the attractions that we're going to mention, as well as what a perfect day looks like for us. So I'm Bavik, and collectively with my wife we are Binge Travelling, and as a channel we promote travel anywhere, anytime, and that's making the most of every free moment that you have, whether that's in and around your home or travelling abroad. So let's begin. Okay, so to begin with, we're going to cover the most obvious ones, and probably the ones you've heard of already. The Bullring, Grand Central and the markets. So the Bullring is the best place in the Midlands to go for shopping. Opened in the early 2000s, it's got everything from the main department stores to your high street stores, as well as the boutique fashion branded places as well. If you are a fashion nut, that's the place to go for you. The next one we're going to talk about is Grand Central. So Grand Central is a relatively new structure, opened in 2015, as well as including some department stores as well. It's got lots of restaurants, which are great, covering a number of different cuisines. It is definitely a sight for sore eyes. It used to be very, very dull, but if you look at it now, it's very impressive. Named after New York's Grand Central. Moving on to the markets. The markets are the oldest shopping structures in Birmingham, home to 100 stalls selling everything from fruit and veg to mobile phones. But it's not just that kind of stuff as well. It's probably more known for its rag market, which is famous for its fabrics. So it's the go-to place for university students that have kind of fashion, fancy dress parties to go to and things like that, but also great if you're looking to kind of reupholster anything or just find something that's a little bit different. Go and check out the rag market. If you're visiting, definitely recommend it. Number 2. Great places to eat and drink in Birmingham. Having lived and worked around the region, this is where I think I can add some real value. The first place I'm going to mention is Bacchus Bar. It's super central and has a great medieval vibe. The food served includes some great British classics like pie and fish and chips, but it's more about the aura of the place. It's also underground, so it kind of just has a really cool vibe about it. Moving on to the next one, the Lost and Found. So the Lost and Found is actually a very cool cocktail bar that used to be a bank. When you enter the place, it looks like a secret garden combined with a library. That's how I would describe it. The food there is fantastic. I would definitely recommend the salmon fish cakes. Definitely check it out. And finally, the Old Joint Stock Pub. Formerly a stock exchange building in Birmingham. It has great beer, great pies, and it's an awesome place to walk into. They have a black and white theatre show as well, which you'll have to check out. Definitely worth it, for sure. Next, moving on to historical hotspots in the city. First of all, we're going to talk about the Library of Birmingham. The Library of Birmingham actually isn't even that old. Opened in 2015. It's the largest public library in the UK, and when you walk in there, it's so amazing. Probably the most amazing library that I've ever seen. We definitely recommend checking out the Shakespeare room as well as the Secret Garden room, which is pretty cool. Moving on to the Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery. There's loads of galleries and exhibitions that are on offer. It's located very close to the library as well, so you can go in there for free. Worth checking out in conjunction with the library for sure. And finally, St Martin's Church. St Martin's Church is located in the heart of the building, and it's actually the only surviving structure following the Second World War. A lot of Birmingham was bombed, being an important industrial city, but it's the only building that's remained. So if you are looking for a bit of history, it's definitely worth checking out. Other than that, there's also the Symphony Hall, which is the site of lots of political conferences and concerts, as well as Cathedral Square in Cornwall Row, which is home to St Philip's Cathedral. Around that region is a great place just to have some lunch and look at just look at the city people that are working around there, and yeah, just a great place to relax, really. Moving on to Birmingham's Botanical Gardens. So if you are in the centre of Birmingham, you'll have to take a taxi to the Botanical Gardens, or a train or a bus. But there's some beautiful gardens that stretch over about 15 acres. If you love walks and enjoy gardens, it is definitely the place for you. Moving on to the Jewellery Quarter. So a lot of couples go to the Jewellery Quarter to get a ring made, because often you can buy and have a ring made at wholesale value, or very close to wholesale value right there. You'll find a whole street packed full of jewellers that'll be ready and willing to make custom jewellery for you. So if you've got a design or something and you want to have something specially made, that's the place to go and get it sorted out. Next up, Cadbury World. So you probably love the chocolate already, who doesn't? But it's a must-see, especially for the inner child in you. If you are a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory fan, this is the place to go to. It was first opened in 1990 and has been educating visitors. Number 8, the Balti Triangle. With dozens of restaurants spread across Birmingham and serving Balti dishes, it's definitely something to check out. So what is a Balti? So a traditional Balti is actually essentially an Indian curry served in a round steel dish that it's cooked into. It might sound simple, but it definitely makes a difference. If you're looking for something very authentic to Birmingham, the Balti is something that's kind of become a staple dish there, so we would definitely check it out. In terms of all the attractions we've mentioned, most of them are super central, apart from the Botanical Gardens, the Jewellery Quarter, Cadbury World and the Balti Triangle. You'll have to take taxis to all of those, but it shouldn't be too expensive. If you wanted to go absolutely everywhere that we've mentioned, we would recommend staying around 2 to 3 days in order to comfortably cover it without stressing yourself out. Birmingham is big enough and there's so much to do. It's a really friendly city, and compared to London it's so much cheaper, so you're going to be happy on so many fronts. It's definitely worth taking a trip out there. So, if we were going to go to Birmingham tomorrow, and if we only had one day, what would we do? And I'm assuming that I've trained it in there. I would head over to York's Cafe and Coffee Roasters, which is a central Birmingham cafe. If you want to get a rustic, homemade English breakfast, that's the place to go to. Following breakfast, I would head off to Birmingham Library, checking out every floor, going into the Shakespearean room that I mentioned before, and looking at the views of Birmingham from the top. After leaving the library, I would head over to the Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery. 1, because it's free, 2, because it's interesting, and 3, because it's right next to the library as well, so you might as well take a wander. Following on from that, I would definitely take a taxi over to the Botanical Gardens. 1, because it's beautiful, and 2, because it stretches over so much land. There's so much to see. You wouldn't expect to see that much greenery in central Birmingham, but it's there. You definitely have to check it out. So after having done all of that walking around the Botanical Gardens, hopefully I would have built up an appetite. I'd go for lunch at Bacchus Bar. I'd have something traditional like a fish and chips or a pie and mash there in the medieval restaurant, and I'm sure I would really enjoy it. Following on from that, if you want to have something fun, something a little bit light-hearted, I'd head over to Digworth Diner. And I know I didn't mention Digworth Diner because it's relatively new. It's essentially Birmingham's answer to Shoreditch. It has lots of things like crazy golf as well as a food court. So I'd play some crazy golf, and then I'd go to the food court to have some light food, just in case I got a little bit peckish again. Following on from that, I would then go for drinks at the Lost and Found that I mentioned earlier. I love that place. It's great for a cocktail at the end of the night, and you can just stay there all night following that. And that would be my perfect day out there. So, we hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you want to find out more, the post that we've mentioned includes these 8 attractions as well as links as well. So head over to bingetravelling.com, things to do in Birmingham. So, we'd love to hear your comments, and make sure you subscribe too and hit on that bell notification so you get alerted every time we release a video. Thanks for watching guys, and see you on the next one.